Hey, what's up, WCReplays.com? This is Orange doing an audio commentary, and since Ladder is still unplayable, it is not a live one. So, hopefully our issues with the front page are being fixed, because, I don't know, that Sasuke audio has been up for like 10 days, at least, and there's a pretty decent lineup of audios waiting to go out. So, we're all waiting patiently for that. Also, this replay, pause it at the 45-second mark. If I haven't said that, it's been one of those days. But, this replay is from PTGL, and I'm debating about whether to submit this for a front page replay or not. I probably will, because it's a pretty sweet game. And FK is actually one of my favorite players, just because of the way he plays, and we'll go through a bit of that through this game as it progresses, if I can use more of those kinds of phrases. Anyways, to run a stand, Elf versus Undead, so it's fairly balanced map-wise, nothing too special going on. It could be considered a little more elf-favored because of how you can creep to level 3 pretty easily without the DK doing much of a bother. But, yeah, we'll get to that and the stuff, and the things, and the good stuff. So, if you're at the 45-second mark, we'll unpause soon, and if you're not, pause the audio part and sync it up. So let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. So, you'll notice he's doing basically a Huntress build, and today he will be going Huntress, which is an important part of the strategy, because Huntress are sweet. A lot of people don't believe me when I tell them Huntress are ridiculous, and then people see them used in pro replays, and they're like, no way, you were right. So, that has nothing to do with, like, the majority of my listeners. I'm actually really referring to one person. So he is going Keeper of the Grove. And what he's actually going to do with the Keeper of the Grove is he's just going to harass. Nothing too big deal about that. He's obviously not going to be creeping with the Ancient of War or anything because he's going Huntress. But if you are interested in this strategy, and it's an interesting one, it's one that you won't see coming, and it doesn't require a lot of micro, which is nice, because I hate the micro. The one thing you want to get from this replay is actually his build order, which is fairly important. Not the Huntress build, because pretty much anyone can do a Huntress build, but you want to know when he's setting up his Tree of Life, which he will be setting up with his Wisp that he sent over to the left, where he's putting his Scout Wisps, how many Wisps he's getting before he stops building them, and stuff like that. So basically, with his Scout Wisp at the top here, what he can do is judge where his opponent is going to be going. And notice he catches some ghouls outside of his base, so those are always some free experience if you can manage it. Of course, the majority of people let them die, so still, the Scout Wisp at the top means, hey, he's not going to go creep, and obviously you will be able to catch him on your way to his base, or if he's going fiends, then that's a little different, and you have to play that a little differently. So it's not a big deal. And he's just started his Tree of Life, while he's running around with this DK. Now, I would be tempted to actually run up the top and around here, and back towards his base, just to keep him away from the Expo, because he could possibly run across it here. That's the only thing I would say I would do differently at this point. And he's just set up his second Ancient of War as well. Well, not just, I mean, it's a quarter of the way up. But it's important to know when he sets these up, because it'll allow him to fend off the push that is going to be coming from the Undead, because obviously they're going to try and stop you from Expoing, because, duh, it's the smart thing to do. So, let's see, DK gets a Staff of Teleportation, which I thought was odd. I'm not sure why he picked it up, to be honest. And notice he does the smart thing anyways for the second Entangle before he uses it. Just because Entangle can cancel it and actually get his hero killed. But, I guess he picked it up as a safety measure, so he can save his hero. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Staff of Teleportation in this particular matchup, because there isn't really much use for it. Yeah, because usually when people do play 9-up against Undead, they go Warden or something, and having a hero running around by itself usually gets in trouble. And, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of the staff. On a DK, so you'll notice now he's picking up archers. He gets 2 hunters, and then he moves to archers. Reason being is because fiends don't do much damage to archers, and archers just do a lot of damage to ghouls and skeletons. So you're sort of good to go there. Plus, Entangle sort of rapes fiends pretty badly. Plus, this is around the time they'll get tier 2, and this is around the time they'll also be getting gargoyles, depending on the opponent's playstyle. And the weird thing is, a lot of people have started going fiends against everything, which makes no sense to me. I'm a ghoul guard person, which is funny because I don't like 2 micro much, but yeah. So he is going to creep out the axe bow, and this is really nothing special. He just does what most people do, and he'll abuse the lightning shield. He could be abusing it a little more, but that's fine. Tome of Intel drops, which is a bummer, because everyone hopes for a Tome of Experience, obviously. I forget what item he picks up here. Belt of Giant Strength, that always helps. The extra hit points are always wonderful on that. So, Expo is now crept out, and at this point he says, well, I'm expecting a push. So he's repairing his tree and setting up an Ancient Protector. Ancient Protector is more for gargoyles than anything, because you'll notice it's squashed against the trees as opposed to a little out in front, which is more to stop ghouls and stuff. And, so yeah, it's behind the Tree of Life. It's actually not a bad position for fiends either, because it allows the Tree of Life to actually get some decent whacks on the ghouls. But on the fiends, not the ghouls. I was thinking where I would put it for ghouls. I'd put it a little out front for the ghouls, just to stop them from running in and just beating down my Tree of Life. And here comes the push, and unfortunately he gets this Huntress surrounded, and my voice is starting to go, which is brilliant. Which is super fantastic. Anyways, so he's got his archers and his Huntress, and he's also going to be using Force of Nature. Force of Nature isn't bad at this point because he doesn't have destroyers, and all you really have to do in this kind of battle is prevent your archers from being hit. I would be focusing the ghouls at this point, personally. Nice Deado, gets a couple skeletons here and there. And unfortunately, he's running his... he gets his treants jacked here, which is too bad. So, I also forgot to mention this, but he tagged pretty early. Yeah, that's pretty failure on my part. So, at this point he's got his level 3 Keeper of the Grove, which is probably the turning point of this push, because a Keeper of the Grove level 3 means, pretty much fiends become fairly useless without a destroyer. I mean, you'll notice that Ghoul basically got owned by one Keeper of the Grove attacking it, and Entangle. Not sure why it doesn't kill that 4 hit point skeleton, but that's fine. And he picks up his Panda. Panda's a good thing to pick up, just against Undead in general. I see a lot of humans doing it recently, especially if they're not going to fast Expo. Oh, there we go, he does get the skeleton kill. So you can see he has really no hope of saving that fiend, and unfortunately that Huntress dies, which is an odd waste of coil. Actually, he probably could have sniped it with the Lich. But, I mean, safety first. It's always important, guys.